Welcome to Strain on the Game, the podcast that reveals what it really takes to keep elite footballers performing at the highest level. I'm Stephen Warnock, former Premier League player, joined by physical performance expert Adrian Lamb. From training ground truths to the financial impact of fitness, we discuss the often overlooked challenges behind the beautiful game. Today's guest is someone who's seen football from almost every possible angle, from starting his career in New Zealand to moving to the US college system, then being drafted into the MLS, carving out a Premier League career as a centre-back in one of the most physically demanding eras of the game, and captaining his country at a World Cup. Ryan Nelsen's journey is anything but typical. He made the jump from Major League Soccer to the Premier League with Blackburn Rovers, later playing for Tottenham Hotspur and QPR, and became known as a leader, not just by position, but by personality. He didn't just play the game, he led it, he lived it, the responsibility that comes with being a centre-back and a captain. After retiring from playing, Ryan stepped into being a manager as head coach of Toronto FC, before moving into the business side of sport, working in player representation, career planning, and even helping shape how sport exists in the digital world. Whew. Bit of a tongue twister, all that, but Nelly, that is you in a nutshell. Welcome to Strain on the Game. Thank you very much for joining me and Lammy.
Well, thank you guys. It's nice to see you two, Mugs. It's been far too long.
Appreciate that. How are you in general? Everything good?
Good, yeah. Still standing, still vertical. So that's the main thing.
Yeah, well, we appreciate you coming on today because you've been avoiding us for the last couple of weeks. Firstly, you were shoveling snow on your driveway because you couldn't get out because you get hit with a snowstorm. Then we were due to go on and do a recording, and I messaged you saying, "Are you jumping on?" And you were like, "Yeah, I'm jumping on a plane." And I was like, "Oh, cheers, Nelly." So you were one of these guys who was never late for a meeting, always first in the room, yet you're pinning you down for this as being absolutely shambolic.
Well, my organizational skills have just deteriorated as my grey hairs have kicked in, I think. So, yeah,
It's not happening.
Having played with you around Glen Eagles all those years ago, you, me, and Dunny, wasn't it? Had a round. How did you get on? How did you get on in the golf?
Well, I can actually hit it further than I can kick the bloody thing now, which is a good thing. So I'm down. I've got down to a 9 handicap. So
oh, nice.
That means I'm losing anything I'm going in with a handicap that low. So I need to get back up to 18. So.
Yeah, very true. Right, let's get going. Let's get into your career, Nelly, and have a little chat about this because you have taken a little bit of an unconventional route. You started your playing career initially at Christchurch United in your home country of New Zealand, but then you moved into the US college system in America. How exactly did that come about?
Yeah, like I'm the worst guy for any young boy or girl to ask, like, how did you get into the Premier League? Or what steps did you take? What paths did you take? Yeah, I'm a shocker. I've done it completely probably the wrong way or the right way. I don't know what happened, but what happened was I got picked in the under-20 cricket team, New Zealand under cricket team to tour England, and I also at the time an old New Zealand youth coach pick up the Stanford soccer thing. And I'd got a really bad knee injury and I was like, oh God, which do I take? Do I go cricket line? Do I go? And then my father goes, well, you're not that great at both of them, so you should get an education. And,
wow.
And then I said, well, Stanford's then, and then the old man's like, I probably bit, more off you can chew there with Stanford, so I'd probably go less than that. But I ended up like kind of going the college route more for education wise. I kind of didn't think I was at elite or high elite level at sport, right? I was good and at the youth level, but so was everybody. So I wanted to be a lawyer. And I just started kicking the can down the road as to become a lawyer. And even when I got my degree from Stanford, I was lucky enough to get a scholarship to get my law school paid for at Stanford. And what they said was, you got to go out in the real world for a couple of years first, and then come back for a bit of experience, a bit more like that, and then go to law school. And that was the plan. And I got drafted. I just happened to get drafted by DC United to go there straight after college. And so I thought a couple of years playing soccer, playing football for, I think I was getting paid like $24,000 a year. So I was like, that'll be a good couple of years. And that was how my MLS career started.
So basically your professional career has been a long gap year, hasn't it?
It kind of has. And it's like my 2 years, and then they gave me like a third year, and then I thought, I'll keep going with this. We're going to maybe captain at DC United. And then our fourth year, I was captain when we won the MLS League. And I think we won it. We won everything. I was captain. I think I earned about $55,000 that fourth year. And I was just about to kind of really think about going back to law school, doing a real job, not a proper job. And Blackburn played DC United. They came over in the summer of my last year and played us in a preseason game. And we drew 1-1 with Blackburn, with Graham Souness and that team he had. And we drew 1-1. And the scout there said, they liked me, the scout, and he said, if there's any opportunity that you could potentially come, we'll have you on trial. And that was it.
Wow.
So when did you go on trial then, Nelly, from that?
I went on trial about November, just after the season ended. We won early November. About mid-November, I thought, I'll give it a go. Just who cares? Just for 10 days to see how it would go. And I trialed there at mid-November with Mark Hughes, who just came in virtually. And I was about a month there. They kept me there for a month, like mid-December. And Mark finally told me, like, after when I was 35, I finally said, why was I there for a bloody month? I was only meant to be 15 days. And he was so scared that I'd actually leave and then go trial somewhere else, that he kept me there for like a month, which I was like, it's like a little holiday.
So,
yeah.
So do you think that actually helped you in terms of your approach to that trial, that you were just thinking, I'm not really that fussed about football? Because it sounds like you were toying with just going back to being a little lawyer then.
Yeah, absolutely. I had a safety blanket, a security blanket kind of thing, that was that. In all honesty, I never really thought that, I thought somebody will figure it out pretty soon that I'm shit and that I'm not good enough or something like that. So I'm not keep writing this as long as I can. It was kind of that kind of attitude. And then they signed me on a Dr. Phil Abadi. He gave me, I was meant to get an 18-month contract, and then he gave me, because of my knee was really bad because of a previous injury, they gave me a 6-month contract. So I was like, perfect. I was there for 6 months at Blackburn, was my first contract. It's like, perfect.
Wow, that's insane, isn't it? I mean, to take that route in and just be so... I mean, I think your route in is one of the most fascinating. I think you've got a better story than most people when you're talking about that your route in is. Like, you were so relaxed in it and so calm in it that I think a lot of people take it so serious. And especially when I look at parents on the sidelines and how serious they take it for their kids, your approach was almost like, yeah, I'm enjoying my football and we'll see where it takes me.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're going to do it, you do it right. First of all, I trained my hardest, and I tried to get as good as I can, of course. But also knew that there's a reality, and it's very difficult. And I wanted to have options. I think everybody should go into something with options. You don't put all your eggs in one basket, right? Because that can be devastating. So I think, as I said, I say to most boys and girls is, if you're going to do it with passion and work rate and enjoyment and love and everything like that. But also, don't just pile yourself down one path. Like, explore. You're only young once. You only, so explore as many opportunities and possibilities as you possibly can. And that will personally help me.
Do you think those experiences that you had through that fairly unorthodox route compared to the majority of players come through a European academy, don't they, into the Premier League? Do you think that suited your personality a little bit better? And how did some of those experiences that you had coming through the college system and being a bit later into the Premier League, how do you think they helped you cope with some of the challenges that you found in the Premier League?
Hugely. Like, Stanford's a really humbling place, right? Like, you go into any classroom and there's just geniuses around the world, or phenomenal entrepreneurs, or whatever. You go anywhere around that environment, you've got world-class scholars, athletes, humans. And so it is a humbling place that makes you go, and then you look how hard they are all working as well. And like, God, it's like, it's no accident. People don't just fall over being good or elite at something. There is a massive amount of time and effort, but generally it's because of what they love, and that's their passion and all that. So it's not even feels like work for them. But going into my scenario, right, I learned from probably not just footballers, but actually from all other, sides of life. And I think that really, really helped me going in and seeing these young kids and seeing these other people and the pressures, and they're angry if they're not playing. And, when I was there at Blackburn, you could see they didn't want the team to win because that player was in his position and things like this. And then all this politics comes around. And it was like really weird seeing that from my kind of world. And so I felt like when I came in, it was a bit easier because, I don't know. It's just, it just simplified it. Like, if I'm not good, I'm not good. And that's my fault. It's not anybody else's. It's just, it's life.
So do you know when you left the MLS to go into Blackburn, what did you notice different about both the physicality of the MLS going into the Premier League, but also the setups behind the scenes and how things worked in terms of your preparation for games and things like that? So whether it was analysts, whether it was strength and conditioning coaches, all that side of things, was there a huge gulf in difference or not? Because I always think of the MLS as arguably one of the most fittest leagues in the world.
There was the physicality of the game in terms of the physical side, actual, body on body, relentlessness is uncomparable with Premier League doing anything else. But what the MLS did put me through is that you play a lot of games in awful conditions, like, 90-degree heat, 90% humidity, altitude, artificial fields, 65,000 seat stadium with 5,000 in it sometimes at that time. Like, you got so many varieties of conditions and training conditions that it kind of made it easier when you go into a Premier League and you're like, oh my God, a chef's making me chicken? Like, what? This was like Disneyland. Somebody's told me that I've ran this, like, it was like everybody's there to help you. It was like, so yeah, I came from an environment that was pretty diverse and pretty demanding, only because of what the US, so when you go to an England, you're like, this is Disney World, even though the physicality and the speed, as you guys know more than anybody, is, it's freaking relentless.
Well, you came into that first season after you had your trial, and you signed in January, and you actually, I looked up the archives. You played 20 games for Blackburn that season, 15 in the Premier League, 5 in the Cup. We've spoken on previous podcasts, Warnie and myself, about in and around transfer windows, players who come into the Premier League from other leagues, how difficult they'll find to adapt to the speed and the physicality of the game. But you seem to have settled in pretty quickly. So how did you sort of navigate that jump, not just physically, but the technical side of the game, and were you being asked to do different things, and how did you navigate all of that?
Well, mentally, I only had 6 months to prove myself, so I thought, Jesus, this is all or nothing here. Most guys come in with a bit more than 6 months, so I had to really go for it. Second of all, as you guys will know this very well, I'm not a dribbler. I probably read the game a bit. I'm a 1 and 2 touch player, and my strengths are probably reading the game a bit more. So actually, the Premier League suited me more than MLS. Actually, that weirdly, the Premier League suited my game, so that really helped. And I suppose Mark Hughes coming in from Wales and kind of New Zealand was very similar, so he backed me. But in saying that, my first home game in Blackburn, I came on as a substitute at halftime in I think it was a cup game, and it was 0-0, and we weren't the centre back at the time. Aaron McElwain was struggling a little bit at centre back, so I came on at halftime, and about 5 minutes in, at the edge of the box, I passed the ball straight to one of their players, who smashed it into the top corner. And Brad Friedel, Go-Go Gadget Arms, out of nowhere, tipped it onto the bar, and it went flying about 40 yards. It was the greatest save I've ever seen. And then we kind of broke away and scored and made it 1-0, and we won, and we made 1-0, and I was all right, and I would off. If that goes in and we're down 1-0, the whole narrative could be a completely different one. And these windows of opportunity, right? These woes that kind of footballers and you have in life. I tell about the story. I owe Brad Friedel's fingernail so much for what he did in that save, because it could be a different narrative.
It's incredible, that, isn't it? Like, the way you think about it and how things can flip and you need that element of luck. Because I was thinking my Blackburn debut in the Premier League, I got sent off. What stupid was that? Yeah, I got sent off for, I think, in three teams I signed for. I got sent off in my debut.
Why am I not surprised with that one?
Thanks, mate. Appreciate that. No, it's just, I think you're just desperate to prove people, like, to show what you can do, aren't you? And what type of person you are. Nelly, I don't know if I told Lammy this story the other day. I don't know if you ever remember this. So the day I signed for Blackburn, I walked into the canteen and I was sat there, and I'd just been to Mark Hughes' office and had a chat with him. And I was sat down having some breakfast, and you came over and you went, "Hi mate, how are you?" And so I was like, "Yeah, good, thanks." And he was like, "Are you one of the youth players? Are you one of the new guys?" And I was like, "No, I've just signed from Liverpool." And you were like, "Oh, right. Well, welcome to the club." And then I played alongside you in the next game against Luton in the FA Cup, and you just been thinking, "Who is he? Who is that lad? Where's he come from?" But you obviously hadn't seen me play at Liverpool. Now, I actually remember thinking, "Fuck me, I've got a lot to prove here. If they haven't got a clue who I am when I come into the changing room, things are bad." And I was thinking, "Oh my God." Luckily, things went all right after that. So yeah, it was okay.
Well, it's proper leadership. I need to give you the motivation to be able to do what you're doing. You still look like a youth player from frickin' Blackburn. Look how bloody young he is, Lammy. We got wrinkles and grey hair. He's look at him. His bloody smiles brightening up the screens. God, so frustrating.
The sun never shines in Liverpool, so he hasn't got that. He hasn't got that problem of the skin aging, has he?
That's very true. That's very true. But yeah, it did make me laugh. That was very funny. But
the one thing I do owe Dr. Batty a lot is I ended up playing 20 games, and then I was a free transfer at the summer.
Oh yeah, I can imagine. Apparently, well, I can imagine Blackburn would have been absolutely shitting themselves, wouldn't they, losing you?
Yeah. It was really weird. It was a really weird time, right? Because on my 7th game I played, they made me captain against Burnley.
Wow.
So
that early on.
7th game for playing for Blackburn, and it must have been about February or March. Mark Hughes gave me the captain's armband, and that was riddled with experience. You know, 2 guys: Flitcroft, Shaw, Andy Todd, Lucas Neal. Like, you know, the Blackburn team at that time was riddled with some really experienced guys. So I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I was shitting myself.
Big
But
character.
I reckon.
I was going to actually ask that, Nelly, because coming from the background that you did that we've just described, and that dressing room, big characters, lot of experience. Did you feel respected straight away? It was interesting that you got the armband as quickly as you did. I didn't know that. Did you feel you had to prove yourself to these guys repeatedly?
I feel like I had to prove myself, not in a bad way. The whole time I was there, and I was, even when I was at Tottenham or QPR, you always feel like you've got to prove yourself because everybody in the world wants your job, right? In the dressing room, I didn't feel I felt like a neutral in a way, like a Switzerland or whatever it is. Like I think Mark probably because I didn't have really, I suppose, the ego or the big strong personalities that other people had. Maybe that would have been a nice moderator between everybody, or a facilitator between everybody to keep everybody. And I think that's probably why. I don't know. I'm guessing, but yeah.
Uh-huh.
What do you think the qualities were that you think he gave it to you so early? Though, just because of what you've just said, because I think about your time as captain when I came into the football club, and you were always one that I thought a very, very good captain in terms of not a baller, not one of these who went round, but a standard bearer. And that was the big thing for me. I always thought, and obviously you've got the link with New Zealand and the All Blacks, and it was very much that feel to it where you tried to create a community and a team, and it very much felt like that from the off for me anyway. Certainly when I got to know you.
Yeah, I suppose that's probably good. That's a nice way of putting it. It's really hard to talk about strength, especially your own strength. It's really hard. Your personality is who you are and what you do, and all that. The only way I felt like we could win is with everybody, or be very successful, was everybody being at their best, right? Like, and whether I never liked the cut of the armband. It's just an extra bit of cloth that can weigh you down, and I needed all the bloody speed I could get. But it's about trying to get the best out of, and not just the players, by the way, it's the staff. Like, how can the staff be the best staff that they can possibly be? The players can be. Just treating everybody with a lot of respect. And when you're treated with respect and you're valued, the best always comes out of the human being in any environment, not just sport, in business or in whatever. And I think I probably just tried to value everybody and respect everybody. And ultimately, the selfishness in me is that everybody does well, and then that will help. That'll pull me up as well, and we all can do better. And look, it doesn't work all the time. It's really hard, it just sounds easy when you say that, but it's very hard in the elite environment of Premier League pressure. It's really hard, but yeah.
Is that something in most Kiwis then? You talk about not really wanting the armband. Is that just a feeling amongst most people in New Zealand? Is that's what's expected of us? We expect everyone to muck in, everyone to do the part, and just to create that type of atmosphere.
It was funny. I was on this FIFA thing and we talked about what creates elite environments, what creates elite teams, and all that. And they talked about, why is New Zealand for different sports? Why do we seem to be batting above our average or over delivering in most sports? And it's because the collective brings us up, not an individual. So if there's an individual talent who's an absolute dickhead, they will not make New Zealand teams, because that individual talent, yes, absolutely, that's great for that individual, but will not pull the rest of the team up. So the collective has to be good to bring everybody up. Now, Croatia, that I was about to get, they're like, if you're not an arsehole and you're not a dickhead, you don't make the Croatia team. They want a bunch of arseholes, a bunch of talented guys who are just firing and winning on all cylinders and battling each other and going boom, boom, boom. And that works for them massively, right? Like, and that would just destroy New Zealand teams. We'd fall apart. We would be useless at that kind of environment. So it does work both ways. And I don't think there's a right or a wrong answer to this.
Yeah, it's interesting that.
Well,
Sorry,
that
Lammy, I thought you
certainly
were going to say something.
yeah, no, that certainly fits with in terms of captaincy and we asked the question, didn't we, about how you fit within the dressing room. That Blackburn team had a lot of collective feeling within it, didn't it? And that is probably the reason why you were successful in it and why so many people were successful, because it was team first. There was a big team first mentality within the dressing room, wasn't there?
Yeah, totally agree. And it's funny, and when you look back, I think you probably, both of you guys will say, it's that famous quote, you don't really know you're in the good times until you kind of leave it and you're off and you look back and you kind of wished that this was awesome as much kind of when we had at the prison. It's kind of, you don't really know how good you had it until you kind of move on and you're like, oh, that was actually pretty cool.
I'll tell you whose fault it was. Bobby Mims. It was Bobby Mims's fault. I'll tell you why. Because what you're saying there, we were training at Ewood one day, and the staff all got cleared out, so we were messing around with the balls in the tunnel, and we were pushing each other over and just being dickheads, really. And Mimsy looked around and he went, "It's great, this, isn't it? This is the best it gets. I hope it never stops." And then we played Bolton, and then the day after we played Bolton, Big Sam got sacked, and Mimsy came in after that. He went, "It's my fault. Sorry. Yeah. I jinxed it. Totally my fault, that. Sorry."
And Big Sam
was always one.
Yeah, Big Sam was like, at some time, God, some of those trainings could have been awful, right? Like, you're like, oh, here we go, long. I'm standing on the halfway with a free kick, and Paul Robinson is taking the free kicks and like on the halfway line, lumping it right in the box, and I'm a centre back standing beside him looking like a numbnut, like I can't kick a ball. But you're like, oh, but then when you look back, you're like, oh, Big Sam was just the best. It was like, it was amazing.
It's funny, isn't it? Because we talk about Sam quite a lot because of the characteristics of him, what he was like as a person more so. And I think that speaks volumes for Sam. Was I don't look at him as a manager, as a coach. I always look at him as a person, and how funny he was, how engaging he was. And don't get me wrong, there'll be people who've worked with him, and there's probably a handful who didn't like him as a person. But I think, how can you not like him? And he created that environment within the changing room where it was a collective, and that was one of his biggest strengths. And I think it's one of those qualities that can often go so unnoticed and so minor that people just don't get it at all.
Yeah. Exactly. No, you're absolutely so right. I did clash, like, and I've talked to Sam about this. I clashed with him about some of the individual, like, guys on the team that he would let do anything, and then some wouldn't, and then he'd be harsher to some and less to some.
Just a second, it's just popped up on the notes. El Hadj Diouf has entered the chat.
Yeah. and I think you did right, Lammy. And remember Goulon and even Pascal Chabonda for his day. And there was a couple of guys, and I that was the one time where I clashed with Sam because I felt he was letting individual talent go against the kind of collective helping out. And so we clashed on that one. And saying that, like, looking back, he was dead right. Like, like, he's just trying to win games, and Doofy was great at and I love Doofy. We laugh about it all the time. I see him quite often. But that biggest one on that was the Man U game away when we were down like 7-0 after about 20 minutes, and Goulon had been subbed, and the poor guy crying, like, and that's right. Remember at halftime when I spoke up, and I said, Sam, I was like, Gaffer, you prick, you're freaking let these guys do nothing all week. You start them, and what do you freaking expect, kind of thing. Nelsen, this is the first time you've fucking spoken all fucking game. Yeah, shit ass, you're big crap. I got freaking berated for the whole half time, which everybody else in the dressing room is buzzing now because they didn't get any.
You scored in that game, didn't you?
No. I think Chris Samba got one late when we lost 7-1, right? It was something like that. But
I thought you got one.
no,
I
I'd
mean,
be telling you.
your memory's awful.
The Alzheimer's is kicking in early with me, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Fucking hell.
Yeah, I do remember the aftermath of that game when he came in and said to Pascal Chimbonda, "You'll never play for me again." And then he pointed at me and went, "He hasn't run in this game. You can run him tomorrow." So that was the fitness coach's lot, isn't it? So come on, Pascal, better do some running. I need 40 minutes of red zone on this heart rate belt, mate.
I love the stories that we hear from kind of, because now we're old, like, you look back and you hear stories like this and what's happening now, and like how the dynamics of the dressing room is completely dynamics of the whole personalities. And we talk about this at FIFA actually, about how the smell and the personnel, like the Premier League has got better and better every year, right? But that's evolution. That's human nature, right? Like humans should be getting better every year, and technology, etc., etc. No excuses there. Premier League is exactly the same. It's just evolution. It's getting better and better. But the personalities are just not there anymore.
No.
The smell for the game, if you know what I mean, that kind of stuff you can't
100%.
really metric seems to be gone, and that's probably a wee bit due to due to the negative aspect of organization structure and good quality coaching at a younger level, and whatever is actually knocking out quite a bit of that, which is.
But do you not think as well, Nelly, that like a lot of young players now have got too much to say and too much power? So I'm not so sure I'd want to be in a changing room now, because I think I'd get sacked straight away. I think the element of having a pop at someone at half time, it was like the agent would be on the phone the next day to the manager. Like, your player can't speak to my player like that. And you think, my God. But I just wonder how you think you'd settle into a changing room these days.
No, I think we'd probably last about 5 minutes, Wardy. But
Yeah.
yeah. But in saying that, what I would say is it's happening in society, right? Like, in schools, teachers can't have fun with the students as much as they had in the office and the business. It's society, right? And it's changing, and I think it's changing for the better. But there is the things, as I said, the less things that happen out of there is, it's delicate now, right? You know what you can say and what you can't say. And I would say we were probably not as bad as 10 or 15 years before us, but it still wasn't probably, was it the right way to do it? I don't know. I don't think so. But
I think you were. I think you definitely were. I'll tell you a story, and it's just popped into my head. I don't know if you remember this, Nelly. I got a call up to England, and it was my first call up, and we played away at Trinidad and Tobago. And I came in that next summer high as a kite, but Billy Big Bollocks, thinking, fucking play for England. And I remember like being like, I was a bit of a tit. I remember thinking it. And Nelly was like, mate, you've played once for England. Fucking knuckle down and get on with it. Like, you're not a fucking superstar. And I remember like going home thinking, fuck, he's right. But I needed it. Do you know what I mean? And that's what you need. Whereas I feel like everyone's egos now get fed. And it's like, you are the best, and you are, and no one can say anything wrong. Whereas I definitely needed what you told me. And I was like, yeah, he's right. And I remember being like, fucking hell, why have I been acting like that?
What a prick I am. It's like your freaking first ever cat, and I've just gone and done that. What a dick.
No, but I was being the dick. I was being the dick, and you were the one who's like sort of knocking me back into my place a little bit, and almost saying, remember how you got there. It's hard work. It's not being Billy Big Bollocks, and you get rewarded for working hard and not expecting things to come easily. And it was the right thing to say. It 100% was. And I needed that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I always think like pressure's in the eye of the beholder as well, right? Like, and then success is in the eye of the beholder. And generally, if you think that you in your world are under a lot of pressure or have massive success, generally you've got to get out of that little world you're living in, because a hell of a lot of other people are under way more pressure and a hell of a lot of people are having way more success. So fucking forget that shit and just start getting better every day. And you know, and so it works both ways, right? Yeah, so.
Definitely.
Just on the captaincy stuff, and we've spoken a little bit about Big Sam there, but you worked under a lot of different managers. Did your captaincy style change under different managers, or did you kind of have your own style and that was you? Or as the environment changes when different managers come in, did you have to adapt a little bit?
I got it wrong. Actually, ironically, I got it wrong later on in my career, especially at QPR, and I think I was just tired. I was tired. It's tiring thinking about the whole environment in the changing room and that. And whether I liked it or not, it was my natural, I don't know, thought process was to worry about. Maybe it took away from my own personal worries that I should really worry about how shit I was or how bad I played. I was more worried about the team kind of thing. And I got tired at the end. I just wanted somebody else to lead and somebody else to do it. And at QPR, and I've apologized to Mark Hughes, who was the manager who brought me in, and then even to Harry when he came in, because I just couldn't be asked. I was drained. I couldn't be asked, and there's so many egos. And if I was a 27-year-old me, I'd have been all over it, and I think we'd have been fine. I would have helped out, yeah, I mean, it's tiring. And yeah, I think that's probably why. I mean, QPR offered me 2 more years to stay, and I was done. I was kind of broken in a way. I was just mentally drained, which stupidly then I thought management would be a easier step to go. What a naive idiot! But yeah.
Now we'll have to talk about New Zealand, because you have taken, or you've been to a World Cup and you've been captain at a World Cup, and it was back in 2010 in South Africa. Was that one of the highlights of your career?
I've played, I don't know how many games, I won an MLS, the Cup, played in 2 Olympics, 3 Confederation Cups, UEFA Cup, captained X amount of Premier League games and cups or FA Cups and all that kind of stuff. I'm only remembered in New Zealand by 3 games. I walk into a pub in New Zealand and that's
Really?
anybody wants to talk to me about is those 3 games in South Africa. And that is the absolute power of the World Cup.
Wow.
We didn't even make it out of our group. We didn't even win a game. We didn't lose a game, but we didn't win a game. But those 3 games gave the country at that time, ridiculously a rugby kind of oriented country, but a sporting country, so much joy like around the world that literally I'm more remembered about 3 games than anything else. It's crazy.
And does that make you proud though, or is that a bit of a, did you not see the rest of what I've done in my career, or was that the pinnacle?
Super proud because it was really difficult, right? We had an amateur organization that didn't know what high performance was if it smacked them in the face. And that's not their fault. It's just they didn't know what they don't know, right? That's a very common problem in small countries. They don't know what they don't know. And so it was so unorganized. It was so bad. And so coaching staff had, again, just lovely guys, but again, and so it was, I just took it on myself to just pretty much take over. And so I didn't enjoy at all the World Cup. I did not enjoy. I only enjoyed 270 minutes, but everything else was stressful as again, stress. It's in the eye of the beholder, right? Like really, like in the greater schemes of things, it's not that stressful, but it was for me at that time. And to put all that effort in and all that mental drain and everybody jumped on board and everybody got onto it and to only get 3 draws and create such a buzz was super, like, the odds of getting 3 draws in that World Cup was just a joke. There's just nobody's putting any, we're the world champions, Italy, the world champions, Paraguay, who were right up in South America time, and a really good Slovenia team. So it was pretty cool.
So what sort of things were you having to do prior to the World Cup in terms of organisation? And because no disrespect to the other players around you, but you're the one who's at the Premier League. You're the one who's seeing high performance and living high performance every week. What sort of things were you doing with New Zealand to try and create that environment?
I'll give you a quick story. We played Australia in Melbourne before going to Austria, where we played Serbia, who were ranked 8th in the world at that time, and then we fly to South Africa. So we flew from Melbourne to Germany. Now we've got a World Cup bags, right? Like, so how many bags and how much equipment do you have for a World Cup? A team flows through like hundreds of bags. We turn up in Germany and we're in a different terminal. So we don't have anybody to move it from one terminal to other. So we had to create a human train line from the baggage claim to the train and then the train to the next gate. So all the players are doing this. And so it took about an hour to go. Then we go and check in to our flight to Austria, which is from Germany to Austria. It's a tiny flight, right? So it's a tiny plane. They're like, you're allowed one bag each. So New Zealand hasn't thought of this, right? As this was happening, Germany came in on their private 747 Lufthansa that had been kitted out for them. There were English fans they were coming through Germany, were taking photos of us, laughing. We had to unpack. We had to rent 2 massive trucks for 2 of these staff to drive the trucks to Austria with the bags, and we had one bag, and we had to get cones and pennies out and just our toiletries and that. Then we go to Serbia and play against Serbia, who had Vidic and everybody. They were really good, and we go beat them 1-0 3 days later. And the CEO of New Zealand goes, "What are you guys complaining about? I don't know what you got. You just beat Serbia 1-0. And so I said to him, if this happens again, I will punch you in the face. I will punch you. If we ever have to do this again, and I'll tell the media, and I'm going to freaking punch you in the face. And I was so mad. And this is the mindset they had. We then had to play Peru, I think, in a pre-game in South Africa. And what the New Zealand football did is they gave them a blank, pretty much, contract for the game. And so we're like, it's closed doors. Don't worry, it's closed doors. Peru decided to sell the rights and the whole stadium, everything. And so they made about, I think it was sold all through South America. They made about $8 million off that one game. We do $1. We had no water in the change rooms, no nothing. It's embarrassing. And this is where I always say this as well. Like, I'm not trying to throw people under the bus, but high performance people don't get along with mediocre mindsets, and mediocre mindsets don't get along with high performance. And it's not like it's just a clash that will always happen. Mediocre people think their high performance are demanding and they're assholes and they want all this, and high performance people think mediocrity is like, then it's not up to our, and it just clashes. And if you have that in a organization or in a change room or a culture or anything like that, it's just causes mayhem. That's
brilliant, that, isn't it? Imagine Nelly punching him in the face. I'd love to have seen that all over the paper.
I was that close.
But anyway, sort of
it's funny. They did a New Zealand Sport actually did a review. They were like, how the hell do that? And what they found out is just luckily we got lightning in a bottle, right? Like played Russian roulette, and there was 5 bullets and 1 and not, and when we pulled the trigger, it didn't fire. We just got lucky. It was in a high performance environment. You would never ever in a billion years ever do it, but it worked, and we got lightning in a bottle, and the guys were amazing.
But in a funny sort of way, when you have to do those things and you've got all the players mucking in with the bags, did that kind of help you build some sort of team spirit and togetherness? And
absolutely. It's all or nothing, right? Like we've got to band together or we are going to get humiliated to the point where the coaching staff, we actually drew the first game. We got last minute, got brilliant. Now we're playing Italy, and we had the same formation and it was going well and like that. And the coaching staff, the day before, 24-hour kickoff, the last training, changed the whole formation of 3 strikers we had, made them completely do something else without telling anybody else. So he was just doing it up the front of the field. And I was like, what the hell's going on? Like, we were midfielders and the backs are back. I'm like, what the hell's going on? So finally I pulled the striker afterwards and I was like, what are you guys doing? He's like, we are setting up completely different. When we attack, when we defend, he's got us in. He goes, what should we do? I was like, ignore it all. Do exactly the same. Don't worry about it. Just do exactly the same as what we have been doing. Ignore it. Okay, no problems. We go out, we play Italy, we drew 1-1. It was an amazing result. It was awesome, blah, blah, blah. And the coach afterwards goes, just glad I made the tactical decisions I made before the Italian game to get the result.
Wowzers. It's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, but to your point, Lammy, you're absolutely right. It was just, we just all, we're all going to get obliterated or we were going to band together. One of the two.
Follow us on social media and YouTube @Strain on the Game. Subscribe, like, and follow.